Welcome to The Best, where we find the best product in its category. On this episode, we're looking for the best television you can buy. I'm Ayaz Akhtar with our expert, David Katzmeyer. We're going to judge these TVs on 5 different factors: design, smart TV streaming, features, picture quality, and of course, value. Here are our 4 competitors: Samsung Q70 series, TCL 6 series, Vizio M8 series, and LG OLED B9 series. There are lots and lots of TVs out there. Why are we choosing from these 4?
Well, the first reason is I reviewed these 4 TVs. I chose them because they have very good picture quality for the money. The price is a big factor, but also how good I think they're going to perform based on the features.
Okay, so our first round is design. This ought to be thrilling. Look, 4 rectangles. Katz, what can you tell us beyond the rectangular nature of these televisions?
Well, they do look really similar. They all have a really kind of all-picture look with a really thin bezel around the outside of the screen. The brands are really hard to see on all these TVs, even the ones with Samsung-style big brands. From the side, there's a little bit of a difference. The LG OLED is really thin along the top. That's its display technology. It gets a little bigger along the bottom where the inputs and everything are. Otherwise, these TVs look very similar. Some slight differences in materials and things like that.
Beyond that, what else sets them apart from each other?
So the stands are a big deal. So these TVs, actually 3 of the 4 you can see have these legs on either side. That's the stands. They're spread pretty far apart. That can limit the furniture that you put it on. You want to make sure these are 65-inch TVs, that the TV furniture is wide enough, the table or credenza or whatever you're going to use. One of these TVs has a central pedestal stand. We couldn't put it up behind here, but it kind of sits right in the middle, so it actually, you can put it on a pretty narrow piece of furniture, so that makes the mounting of the LG OLED, which has a central pedestal stand, a little easier to fit to furniture.
So what if you don't want to put it on a stand? Can you wall mount any of these, all of these?
Absolutely. So these TVs are actually mounted on a sort of wall mount right now. They're kind of hanging here. You can also hang them on the wall. But yeah, when you wall mount them, you get a nice clean look. And of course, you can take off these legs to give it that just pure rectangle on the wall.
So how did our competitors fare?
So the LG OLED with its really thin design, really minimalist front is my favorite of the 4. I also like the Samsung. It's got a really slick look, really modern looking. So those are our 1 and 2.
All right, so we've got the winner of this round is LG with Samsung in at second. And by the way, Mr. Katzmeyer's a humble guy, so we're going to tell you why you should listen to him.
David Katzmeyer, Senior Managing Editor. He's been with CNET for a whopping 17 years. He reviews media streamers, streaming services, and of course, televisions. He's been reviewing TVs since before the days of HD TV. Katz knows televisions outside and in. He originated CNET's side-by-side testing regimen and designed the TV lab. The man cannot look at a display without a critical eye. In his spare time, David brews his own beer.
Looks like you know your TVs inside and out.
Yes, I do, Ayaz.
Let's go on to round 2, streaming. There are plenty of streaming box options out there, but these TVs don't necessarily need them. Let's talk about smart TV streaming in round 2.
So streaming is super important on today's TVs. All TVs have built-in apps. These are no exception: Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, your basic apps. But beyond that, there's a big difference. The TCL Roku TV is my favorite. It has more apps than any other TV on this comparison. It also has a really simple layout. It's really easy to get to those apps. And the apps are front and center. You can get to them, again, really quickly and easily. Nice quick response time and quick updates. So Roku does a really good job of keeping those apps up to date.
So when it comes to Roku TVs and Roku boxes, are they exactly the same experience, or is there any trade-offs?
Pretty much they're exactly the same experience. In fact, with the Roku TVs, you get an additional feature, which is HDR Dolby Vision streaming. We'll get to that in a little bit. But this TV pretty much has all the bells and whistles of your standard Roku streamer, including voice search.
What are the other interfaces like? Are they as easy as the Roku?
No. So we'll start with my least favorite. That's the Vizio interface. Now it has a bunch of apps on the screen. It shows some TV shows and movies. You can't really customize it very much. And it uses something called Chromecast built in. So you can cast from your phone to the TV screen. Pretty cool, but it's a pretty slow interface. And again, not that easy to use. The LG and the Samsung are very similar. They both pop up from the bottom of the screen. They both have a decent selection of apps. They both respond relatively quickly. And some of the apps on those actually perform a little bit better compared to the Roku version. But at the end of the day, the Roku is still my favorite overall for simplicity and easy use.
So the TCL is the winner of this round?
Yes.
All right, so the TCL gets the win thanks to its Roku interface. It has the most apps, has a simple UI, and quick updates. It's just way ahead of the pack. On to our next round, and that is features. All of the TVs we're looking at are more than just displays. So tell me, what are the key features that set these TVs apart from each other?
So yeah, all these TVs are 4K HDR TVs. They can all display the highest quality video, but there are some differences. We'll start with the LG OLED, which is the most expensive TV, and this is an OLED, organic light emitting diode display technology, totally different from the other three. This has discrete pixels that can produce their own illumination. You get a bunch of picture quality benefits. We'll get into that in a little bit, but it's very different. The others are LCD, LED-based televisions. So beyond that major display difference, these TVs all have different convenience features built in. One of them is voice. So again, LG leads the pack there. It actually has Alexa and Google Assistant built into the TV. You can speak into the remote control and get both of those digital assistants. It's the only TV or even product out there I've seen that has both of those built right in. Another one with built-in voice assistant, as you might guess, is Samsung's Bixby.
It comes with actual Bixby?
Yes, real-life Bixby packed into that thin television.
I don't think we need to say more than that about Bixby. Any other voice controls on the others?
Yes, so the TCL TV does have Roku's voice built in. It's a pretty basic system. It allows you to find stuff, talking into the remote again with voice. Vizio does not have any voice built in, although like all the other TVs in this comparison, you can connect a Google Assistant or Alexa speaker to them if you have that device.
For all that voice control stuff, you're using your remote as the microphone. What else can you tell me about the remotes?
Well, I do have a few of them right here. We'll start with the most simple. That is the Roku remote. Very simple, very familiar. This remote doesn't have a menu pad or anything like that. It's just got some shortcuts on it. Again, it's got the voice. A really simple, nice design. I like that layout a lot. So next in simplicity is the Samsung remote. We got it right here. This guy, again, has the voice in it and a really nice few buttons on there, a really nice modern design. In terms of appearance, it's my favorite looking. Then the other two are a little more complex. The Vizio is a pretty standard remote here. This guy's really old school. They haven't changed it in like 3 or 4 years. Again, this clicker does just basic stuff. And again, you have to aim it directly at the TV. It's an IR remote. The other ones you can use without having to aim at the TV. They're all Bluetooth. Yeah. And finally, this is the LG remote. This is the most complicated. This is a real fly swatter here. It actually has kind of like a Nintendo Wii style ability to follow the motion on the screen, which can be annoying, but it's another way to do it. You can also click around. There's a scroll wheel on here. They got buttons. They got a bunch of keys. They have Alexa and Google built in. It's really, this remote is everything, but it can be a little overwhelming.
When you buy a TV, it's an investment for a long time. Are there any features on these things about future-proofing?
So again, all these TVs will work with today's content, tomorrow's content. None of them are 8K TVs, so they're not that far ahead. But a couple of them do have HDMI 2.1 features. That's the next generation of the HDMI connectivity interface. The LG and Samsung both have select features for HDMI 2.1, namely auto game mode, which turns on game mode for the TVs automatically when they're connected to certain devices. They also have variable refresh rates. So again, when you connect to gaming consoles that can change the refresh rate, make the image smoother, these TVs can handle that. The TCL and Vizio can't.
So every time you attach a component to a television, the television is doing a bunch of image processing, which delays the signal between the box and the television. So when you turn this game mode on, that reduces the lag?
Yes, exactly. So all these TVs have pretty good input lag when you turn them into game mode. Some are a little bit better than others, but it's a matter of milliseconds. So these guys have that ability to turn on automatically on the LG and Samsung without having to manually switch to game mode.
Are there any features that people might be like, what is this?
So yeah, speaking of image processing, there is something called the soap opera effect on all of these TVs. So that basically puts these TVs in a mode where everything looks really smooth, including 24p video, which is supposed to have a little bit of stutter in it to look natural.
Now, movies are usually shot in 24p, so you have this filmic look. That's what that looks like.
That's
when
right.
you move into this soap opera effect, they're coming up with more frames, so it's super smooth, which makes it look like either somebody shot with a camcorder or one of those daily soap operas that I watch every day.
Oh yeah, well, me too. Can't get enough of my days.
Agreed.
But with these TVs, you can turn that off. That's the main thing here. And in the movie modes, it's off by default. Now, some people actually like that effect. I don't. I don't know about you, Ayaz. Big
Not a
soap
fan.
opera effect fan? No? So at the end of the day, you can adjust these, and for most of them, they are off in the most accurate mode, so that's a good thing.
Who do you got as a winner?
So the winner here is the LG OLED. It has the multiple voice assistants, it has the OLED display technology, it has more features than any of the other TVs. Samsung again is second, and it's not really surprising because those two are 1 and 2 in terms of price. The Vizio and the TCL, 3rd and 4th place for features.
So the winner of this round is LG. That means LG is in the lead, but the rest are not far behind. So let's keep going. You know what's mildly important? We haven't talked about it just too much yet. It's picture quality. And before Katz explains how he judges picture quality, we invited a few folks into a dark room with these 4 TVs lined up. They let us know which one they thought had the best picture. Let's see what they had to say.
I think that this TV number 4 seems to have the crispest quality. Some of the colors seem to be a little bit brighter. and it seems to be a little bit more clear.
I really like the Vizio. This color is really, really nice. Like, it's not too oversaturated, it's perfect.
Definitely this one over here, which I believe is the Samsung one, in my opinion, seems to have more sharper colors.
The LG is the crispest quality, and it's got the most like color contrast. The other ones are a little bit dull in comparison.
I think the images are clear in the TCL.
I would say the LG. It's more colorful. This one is like telling me, look at me, look at me.
So it's clear that different people have different ideas when it comes to picture quality. When you're judging a TV, what kind of source are you using? Uncompressed video, streaming video, VCR footage?
Yes, except for the VCR stuff. I actually do like to use the best quality video I can when I'm doing these comparisons. They're going to be a side-by-side comparison. My TV lab, I line these TVs up side by side. I do a little bit of calibration to make sure that they're at their best. And I put on the best video that I have for the most part. So that's often 4K HDR Blu-ray. We do some Netflix streaming. Netflix looks really good in general with the highest quality format. There's also other streaming video that I use. But in general, I'm not going to use really low quality video because you want to have these TVs look their best. You want to be able to suss out the difference between them and not blame the video. You got to blame the TVs.
You just mentioned HDR there. Can you explain how these TVs handle that and also what that is?
So HDR is the best video quality available in the home today. It stands for high dynamic range, similar to what you see on a camera phone, but on a TV it gives you brighter whites and excellent dynamic range, so great contrast. So the format itself is different from standard video, and you actually have to have HDR content coming in. So all these TVs handle HDR, some do it way better than others, and that's really a big difference between them.
What other factors are you looking at when you're judging picture quality?
So contrast is the big one, and that's the pop of the picture, the difference between the brightest brights and the darkest darks. That really creates a feeling of dimensionality that you can't really reproduce otherwise. All of these TVs have really good contrast. The LCDs use something called full array local dimming to improve that contrast. Again, you can turn on and off the backlight on these TVs in different areas of the picture, and that will improve the contrast. It overcomes LCD's inherent issue of having blacks that aren't quite as dark as they need to be. The other TV that doesn't need that is the LG OLED. It has supremely perfect black levels. They're actually completely black, which means that they make the entire picture have that extra pop and contrast.
So when it comes to OLED, each pixel turns on or off, correct?
Yes.
So then when it's off, it's not emitting any light. That's where you get the perfect black. When you have these arrays behind the LCDs, you're talking about backlight coming through, correct?
Yes.
So then you have blooming. I've heard that term before. Can you explain what that is?
So imagine there's a moon on a black sky, and if you have blooming, that means around the edge of the moon you see slightly whiter area around the edge instead of complete blackness. That's because there's this zone of backlight behind the moon that's not the exact size. It's not the per pixel size. So that can create a loss of contrast, a little bit of grayish, less realistic appearance to the image.
Other than contrast, what else do you look for?
So I look for great color accuracy, and all these TVs can be very accurate with color. One thing that sets HDR apart, again, is that it has a wider color gamut. So if you have HDR video, you can get more realistic colors, more natural colors. Think, for example, an apple, very red. With standard dynamic range, it can look a little orangish. With HDR, it's that nice, really realistic red. So all these LCD TVs have something called quantum dots. That's a technology that enhances the color. The light shines through these quantum dots and they can actually increase the color gamut, make it look a little bit more realistic. So again, all these LCDs are very similar in terms of the way that they track color. The OLED can do that without needing quantum dots. The display technology, again, gets a very wide color gamut.
So do you have any tips for the viewers when it comes to judging picture quality for themselves?
So the biggest thing that affects picture quality on all these TVs is the picture mode. In a store, the TVs are turned up to something called torch mode, which is basically a dynamic or a vivid mode. That's the brightest picture. It uses colors that are all out of whack. For example, you can see a football field that looks neon instead of green. That's really not how you want it to look at your house. That's inaccurate.
What about viewing distance? How far should you be from a 65-inch television?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, most people are going to put their TVs where their couches are and not really worry about moving around. But if you have the choice, and especially if you're choosing a TV side based on your seating distance, I would say 65-inch TVs like this, you want to be between 9 and 11 feet away from them.
All right, so which one of these TVs wins for picture quality?
The LG OLED, not a big surprise. It uses the best TV technology, OLED. It's also found on some phones. It really does create this image that can just run circles around anything these LCD TVs can do. Among the LCD TVs, the TCL is my favorite. It has the best contrast of the three, best black levels. It also has less blooming than the other two. The Vizio and the Samsung are very close to the TCL. Again, between these three TVs, they're very, very similar, and the Samsung is actually a little bit brighter, so better in a bright room. It has a screen that can reduce those reflections a little bit better. But all told, the best TV is the OLED, second place is the TCL.
All right, so LG gets the nod for its picture quality and is the winner of this round. That puts it side by side with the TCL. Samsung and Vizio are not that far behind though. Remember, all of these televisions are great, but only one is the best. Let's go to the final round, and that is value. Now, Katz, how are you judging value?
Look at the price tag. So all these TVs have very good picture quality, but they're not the same in price. The LG OLED is a lot more expensive than any of the other TVs. It's 2 or 2.5 times more expensive than the TCL and the Vizio. So the second most expensive TV is the Samsung. That one is, a lot less expensive than the OLED, more expensive than the TCL and the Vizio. It has similar picture quality to the last two. It has better design than those, however, and it also has Samsung's brand, which of course some people really want. The TCL and the Vizio, very similar in price. In fact, the Vizio is sometimes a little bit less expensive, so it might be the cheapest of these four. Picture quality is very similar between them, but the TCL I think is the better value because it has that extra smart TV action, and it's also, again, very similar in terms of price to the Vizio. An excellent bargain, both TVs.
So who do you got as a winner on value?
The TCL 6 Series.
The value king is the TCL, so after 5 rounds of competition, the best television is... the TCL 6 Series. Let's recap. Here's what makes the TCL the best of the best. Solid design and all the features you need. Best in class smart TV streaming with Roku. Excellent overall picture quality with standard and HDR video with an exceedingly affordable price. Thank you to Katz and you great viewers. Let us know what you think of the results. We love hearing from you. Make sure to subscribe so you can see more in upcoming episodes. We'll be talking about phones, smart speakers, earbuds, and more. Let us know in the comments what products you want us to check out. From all of us here, we wish you the best.